What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I have a very special guest. Sean is coming on the channel, and Sean basically came from a background where he was working in kind of the food services industry. He realized that there was kind of a ceiling to how far you can rise in that industry, and it was like pretty good money, but there was a ceiling. It also didn't have benefits, and it didn't have a lot of the perks of, kind of the modern job that we all need, basically, like healthcare, insurance, etc. And he decided that he wanted to go into digital marketing. And other than that, I want to just tell it like a story format. So Sean, welcome to the channel, and thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And could you just very quickly kind of tell us about your background? So before, like, not even necessarily career related stuff, just like before you got into careers, like what were you doing before you were working in the food service industry?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the channel. I've been working since I was 14 and first worked at a Boy Scout camp when I was a teenager. And that was a lot of fun. Then I went to school, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, go Mustangs. And
Hmm.
there I was a philosophy major. And once I
Hmm.
graduated, there wasn't exactly recruiters jumping over themselves to get to me. So I had kind of no plan out of college. Actually, a girl I was dating at the time, her dad had taken Seth's digital marketing course and got a job through that. So he recommended it to me. And that is kind of what set me on this path.
Oh, wow. That is an interesting backstory to discovering the course. Yeah, Seth's course is like so legendary throughout, like it's got such like a tight-knit community that yeah, it's like it kind of grows organically. You bring someone in and they end up bringing like five other people in. So, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Okay. So, you were a philosophy major, San Luis
Yep.
Obispo. By the way, my dad went to San Luis Obispo as well, so small world. So you were a philosophy major, and tell me about that because I know like philosophy is quite interesting. I find it very interesting. Did you regret getting the major? Was it kind of hard to get a job after graduating with it? Like, what are your feelings on that?
I graduated with that. Granted, I probably could have worked harder in school to like go to career fairs and get my face out there and talk to recruiters and stuff. But I didn't. And so when I
Hmm.
graduated, I didn't really have a plan. I was applying mostly to like different sales jobs, but they were all kind of weird entry-level sales gigs. I would go in for an interview and it would be a bunch of like almost like teenagers looking like they're wearing their dad's suits. And it was just kind of like a weird vibe. And I didn't really love it. Or I would talk to places and they go, okay, we pay minimum wage base. You have a commission, but it's super hard to get any of that commission. And I'd read like Glassdoor reviews and it just wasn't the right fit. I didn't think, it was one of those things you really had to like cut your teeth, or anyone willing to take a entry level person is more of like a churn and burn kind of
Hmm.
place.
Hmm.
Um, and like I said, I wanted something more stable than that.
Hmm.
And so, kind of dejected from the sales gig, that's when I had considered getting into a more skills-based digital marketing career path.
Hmm. Okay. Got you. Got you. Before digital marketing, let's kind of set the stage a little bit. You were working at, I believe you said you were working at a winery. So you're working in kind of like the food services kind of sector. Tell me about that. What was your feelings and why did you want to leave that for digital marketing?
Sure, yeah, it was a fun job. I mean, working in the alcohol industry is a lot of fun. It's very casual. I was the guy who would at the winery would like pour your glass and explain the tasting notes and stuff. And that was a good time in college and a little bit after I graduated, but it really just didn't have enough like meat on the bones. Didn't really lay enough of a foundation. Like, I wanted healthcare and a 401k and like all the benefits that come with a more established modern job. And I just wasn't going to get that at a small family winery.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, but you discovered the course through the dad, and how long did it take you before you decided to buy the course? Like, did you watch a bunch of videos, like testimonials, that kind of thing? Kind of like this video right here, and then decide to buy the course? Like, what was your process for that?
Yeah, so well, he had recommended it to me while I was still in school because he kind of knew I didn't really have anything going on and he didn't want his daughter dating a loser. So he had kind of been pushing me towards that the whole time. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I want to try sales because there's a lot of money in sales if you can get a good sales gig. I was just hammering away, applying to different jobs. I go in for interviews and I'm like, this place is weird. This place seems mean. This place seems like it's just kind of a sales farm. Just
Yeah.
kind of like weird stuff. It's not like the established roles that you would think of. And so finally, I broke down and was like, okay, I'll buy the course, I'll take the course.
Hmm.
And that's pretty much how it went. So that was like maybe 4 or 5 months in post graduation
Hmm.
of unemployment where I was like, okay, sales gig isn't working. Stop banging my head against the wall. Let's pivot and try something else.
Got it. And I would say that's a situation that a lot of people watching this can probably relate to. You know, food service industry, I think that employs more people than any other industry in the US. So a lot of people work in food service. You know, a lot of people find themselves kind of getting stuck working in the food service industry because it's like pretty good money to start, especially if you're like, you know, getting tips and stuff.
Oh
But
yeah.
then you just kind of hit a ceiling. Like there's just you just can't get above that ceiling. And like you said, there's not as many, you know, traditional benefits and stuff. And then of course you got another thing a lot of people can relate to is you got a degree, philosophy degree. Quite interesting. I love philosophy myself. But you know, can be tough to get a job. And you know, when you look at the numbers, this is something because I'm a nerd about this. I like look at all the numbers with this stuff that I presented on my channel. Philosophy actually has pretty good numbers, but I highly suspect that it's more correlation and not causation. I think that very smart people are attracted to philosophy and they tend to make more money because, you know, make better decisions, make more money. And so, like, I don't think the philosophy degree itself necessarily helps people make money. I think it's just that smart people are attracted to philosophy degrees. That's just my opinion. But yeah, so you decided to go into digital marketing. Sales wasn't really your thing. Did you actually land a sales job, or you just kind of like you were like looking at different sales jobs and you kind of just didn't like them? Or
Yeah, I'd never actually landed a sales gig, but I got like close with a couple of like legitimate companies that would have like taken care of me, but they didn't pan out, unfortunately. They wanted me to
Mhm.
move to like Des Moines, and I live in San Diego and didn't want to move.
All right, so you decided to jump in, buy the course. By the way, webinar that basically explains everything about digital marketing and talks about the course and everything down in the description and the pinned comment below. Definitely check it out. The webinar is completely free. It'll teach you about what digital marketing is, different digital marketing jobs you can go into, and how you can land those jobs. So definitely check that out. Link in the description and the pinned comment below. So you decided to take the leap, buy the course. How long until you were able to land a job after buying the course?
Yeah, so I bought the course, I think it was probably like November of 24, I want to say. No, November of 23. And I kind of was doing it on and off, you know. In between that, I was also still applying to different sales gigs and stuff, just maybe, you know, you never know what might work out.
Yeah,
So I was doing that for a while. And then I think around June is when I started, June of 24 is when I started actually applying to jobs. And from there, it took about a month, 2 months to land the current role that I'm at now.
got it. Okay. So you kind of bought the course, let it sit on the back burner for a little bit, and then you once you really started getting into it, 2 months later, you were able to land the job 2 months after you finished the course. Okay. Awesome. So what did you think of the course, the material, the community? What did you think of all that? Like how helpful was it?
It was really helpful. So, you know, like anything, they start you off, you're doing a lot of like watching videos, learning the terminology, kind of the skills, different kind of stuff. But what was really nice about this course is it gave you homework. So it taught you, you know, you watch all the videos on building your website, then it's okay, now go build your website. Teaches you all the videos about you know, Google PPC. Okay, now go run some PPC ads. Learn how to freelance even. So, you know,
Yeah.
finding businesses, you know, finding a dentist in some small town in Virginia that doesn't have
Yeah.
isn't doing any ads and no one else in that town or the surrounding towns is doing ads. You send them an email and say, "Hey, I'm a freelancer. I do advertising on Google. You know, you're not running ads and neither is anyone else in your area. Like I think I can really grow your business if you want to start running advertisements." That kind of
Hmm.
stuff. Call it, you know, bootstrapping your experience, right? How do you go from the experience paradox of no one wants to hire you if you're inexperienced, but how do you get experienced if you're not getting hired? And so that's kind of
Yes.
the way you bootstrap your experience to then propel yourself into a more established role, like I got at my
Hmm.
age working with Amazon.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, that is such an important thing is basically there's so many jobs out there right now where like people don't want to train you to learn, you know what I mean? They don't want to like pay
Yeah.
you to train you. You know what I mean? It's like because it's just like they're not getting any like if you think about it from the business owner's perspective, they're not getting any value out of it training you until like 6 months in, and then you might just leave for, another job or whatever. So you can kind of see like from their perspective why they don't want to do that. But what you can do as somebody, who's just starting out, if you don't have any experience, is you can, like you said, bootstrap your experience. And there's actually like a lot of different ways you can do this. Like you can get paid to do it, of course, freelance, cold messaging people, that kind of thing. Or you can just find like a friend, family member who has a friend or a family member who owns a business and just be like, hey, can I run some ads for you? And boom, you run some ads for them. Then you have some experience, right? Hey, can
Yeah.
I help build out your website? Boom, you build their website. Now you have experience with SEO and this and that. Or if they already have a website, hey, can I write some articles for you? Boom, now you have experience with SEO, and you can put that on your resume. You can put the person as a reference and they can like literally call them. So you just have to generate your own experience. And this is going to be more and more common, I think, in the modern age. The gig economy is getting quite big. Like a lot of people are actually making full-time incomes just working on platforms. I would even kind of be an example of that. YouTube, I'm technically partnering with YouTube. That's like my main channel. I'm technically partnering with YouTube. So I'm kind of like on the in the gig economy myself in some ways. So I'm partnering with the platform. But yeah, Fiverr is very common, Upwork, etc. And even like Craigslist, right? Getting jobs on Craigslist, but basically just like figuring out how you can get jobs and get some experience. It's really not that hard. There's not that much competition to do it, and especially if you're willing to work for a little bit of a lower rate, especially at first, you can definitely get some great jobs. And to be honest with you, like when I was first starting out, when I first did like digital marketing agency type work, I did my first few jobs completely free, right? Because I knew I'm not that good. It's going to take me a long time to get it good. So like I don't want
Yeah.
them to pay me to learn, right? Like I'm going to do it for free and I'm going to learn. And then, it was great because I had experience. I got to use them as a testimonial, and it was a win-win for everyone. And so, yeah, I think that is just such an important point. And then I think another really important point is actually documenting it somehow in a portfolio, like basically
Yes.
proving that you were able to do it, like documenting your experience in a portfolio or something along those lines, something where you can actually prove that you're doing the thing. Now, in the coding industry, for instance, you'd probably use GitHub. In digital marketing, you might use, I don't know, like a Notion portfolio or something. So different industries have different ways that they use portfolios. If you're in the creative industry, you're probably going to use Figma for your portfolio. But yeah, so yeah, those two things are just like totally make the difference with a lot of these modern jobs. So I'm really glad you brought that up. So can you talk about maybe a few of the projects that you did? Just you don't have to give too many details, just a little bit.
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned like you probably have a family member that has a business that could use it. My uncle, he
There
transcribes
you
sheet
go.
music. So if you got like a popular song and you want to have a seven-piece band be able to play it, he writes out all the sheet music for the different parts. He had a website, wasn't great, so I did a revamp of his website, started running ads to his website, did some SEO optimization for highly searched keywords that I could pepper in on his website so that people can find it more easily. And that really, really made a difference to him and his business and to my aunt. So, great to help the family in that regard. What else did I do? I built a website. Seth's course has a whole section on building websites on WordPress. So I just built like a little blog about different cycling routes around San Diego that I did. And I would like link my Strava to it. I wrote articles about like different routes that I did, different bike rides and stuff, and ran a couple of Google ads as well. So just little pieces of everything. Every little bit you do is experience. And when
Yeah.
you're starting out, it's not about the money. It's about just getting that experience. So offering your services to friends and family for free, or even just like cold calling different businesses, like I was talking about some dentist office in Virginia, different things like that can
Hmm.
really move the needle for those businesses and also really help you get
Hmm.
experience and have something to talk about in an interview to say, yeah, I do this. It's not just something I learned
Hmm.
about, it's something I do. Like I am a digital marketer. You're not going into the interview completely
Hmm.
cold.
Yeah, and the craziest thing, like some of the clients I've worked with who have literally gotten marketing degrees, they go through their entire 4-year degree and they've never generated a single lead.
Yeah,
they've never gotten a lead, right? Never mind make a sale, right? Like, let's not even go that far. They've never generated a sale. They haven't even generated a lead. Some of them haven't even generated an impression with traffic, right? So it's like you
yeah.
go through a 4 year marketing degree and you learn all this like kind of philosophical stuff that's like maybe somewhat useful. You learn like the history of marketing and stuff like that, but you're not actually learning any like hands-on, like in the trenches, like what's working right now skills. And a lot of the time, some colleges are better than others, but a lot of colleges don't even like they might have one class on digital marketing, and digital marketing
Hmm.
is like everything now. Like
Yeah,
that's like the most common way of marketing, right? So they might have like one class in a 4 year degree on digital marketing. Never mind like SEO, pay per click, creating websites, lead like generating leads, this type of stuff. And so, yeah, it's just having that hands-on experience, having a course that just teaches you the things that actually matter, the things that business owners are actually looking for, because we don't really care about like the philosophy of digital marketing or whatever, like the history of, digital, like we don't really care about that, right? We care about like,
no,
okay, can you generate leads? Can you generate sales, Um, and yeah, just having a course that just it teaches you those important skills and then makes you do projects that gives you hands-on experience. I mean,
yeah,
it's literally more valuable than a 4 year degree when it comes to actually landing a job. Now, you might make the argument, well, oh, a degree, teaches you to be a well-rounded person. And okay, fair enough. Maybe, you can make that argument. Fair enough. Some people might agree with that. Some people might not agree with that. But when it comes to the practical uh, part, which is what I focus on, which is actually landing a job, um, then hands-on skills are just that's everything. Like learning these valuable skills is everything. So that's a
yeah.
really good
They're
point you made.
in an interview, they're not going to ask you what you learned in college. They're going to ask you what you've been doing in the industry.
Yeah. So if you are like, if anyone's watching this and you're like, okay, I am going to college for a marketing degree, don't have a panic attack, just do actual hands-on projects. Okay.
Yeah,
If you like, if you are going to get a marketing degree, make sure you do actual hands-on projects where you're utilizing your knowledge as you learn it. Okay. So you landed a job. Tell me about the job. What does the job entail? What kind of on a day-to-day basis, what are you doing?
yeah. So I work in the advertising department. Amazon advertising is PPC mostly. They have some other ad channels, but I focus mainly on PPC. So that's sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsor brand video, sponsored display. Anytime you're on Amazon, you see that little gray icon with an eye that says sponsored on it. That's because someone put that listing under that search. And so that's
Hmm.
what I take products, I say, okay, what are the most relevant keywords that people would be searching for to find this product? And then I advertise on those. So it's all bid based, right? The more you bid, the higher up the page you're going to be. So for our
Hmm.
really relevant keywords, I really want to juice those and
Hmm.
get those spending so we get top of search because no one scrolls down to the bottom of the page and even less people go to page two, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about getting those top spots. As you advertise on those top spots, then your organic rank will increase if you're getting sales and good reviews and ratings. So it's a kind of a whole ecosystem that works together. Advertising, PPC too. It's not like you put money in and money comes out. All it does is drives eyeballs to your listing, and then that's on, the product strengths, the SEO, the copy, the image carousel, and all that to finally
Hmm.
get conversion.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So, if you're comfortable talking about salary, you can talk about salary.
Sure.
Some people are, some people aren't, but yeah, if you're comfortable saying, what your first, like when you first got hired, how much you got paid, or how much you were getting paid, let me know.
Yeah, yeah. So I can go into that. I was like I said, I was applying to jobs for about a month or two, and when this one finally came along, they were offering 50K. It's hourly, but works out to 50K to start while I was being training. So that was kind of a training wage, and I took it because it's what I had, it's what I got. So I've looked at this job too initially as like this is getting your foot in the door. This is getting the experience that is eventually going to lead to the next thing, right?
Hmm.
So after I got trained up, I got a 20% pay bump, got up to 60K. And I'm coming up on my 1 year at that company now, and so that'll mean more raises and more, more compensation. So right now I'm sitting at 60K, which for San Diego isn't a lot, but I'm making do. And hopefully, as time goes on, I've definitely grown a lot in that role and learned a lot. So, and the company's growing a lot as well.
Hmm.
So I have high hopes for better
Hmm.
compensation in the future. Talking to some of my other coworkers who have been there longer, working in the PPC advertising department too, they could attest that, yeah, you start out low, but they ramp you up.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's a place that's taking good care of me.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah. So hopefully they're smart and they, as people get more skilled and stuff, they pay them more to retain them. Hopefully they're smart about that. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, they
Um,
say with the clients that there's a lot of, agency shopping. So different brands that sign with us, they're talking to all the other agencies all the time, seeing what
mhm,
deals they can get. And the same goes for the employees too. Like I've
mhm,
had some people leave my team because they got better deals elsewhere. And so
mhm.
it's constant, constant battle of like, we're losing talent. How do we
Yeah.
keep our talent? We pay them more. And
That's right.
so
That's right. It's good to be in demand, right?
it's an extremely in demand. I mean, we lost three people since we started. Three people got different jobs, and we had, I mean, we couldn't hire like a competent person until last week, and we've had people leaving since January, and now it's
Mm.
June. So if you can like learn these skills and get even just a little bit of experience under your belt, you're going to be highly, highly, highly in demand.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing. Okay. So 50K starting out, and then almost immediately you got to pay bump to 60K after the training
Mhm.
period. Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. Straight out of college, making 50K. I mean, that's pretty
Yeah,
typical of people straight out of college, and then you're almost immediately getting raises. Generally speaking, in digital marketing, like if you want to push and try to get to six figures, 2 or 3 years, it's like pretty reasonable expectation to get to that six
yeah.
figure level in digital marketing. So,
My coworkers who'd been there for a year were making 80, 84.
oh
So
wow, that's
yeah, so
that's
they
excellent.
it ramps
Yeah,
up.
that's
Because yeah,
excellent.
like I said, it's hard to find talent. So once you do get that experience under your belt, your pay goes up because they
Hmm.
know you can go somewhere else and get the salary you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, in-demand skill, pay per click. Companies need this. I mean, this is the lifeblood of a company, marketing. I mean,
Yeah.
if your marketing isn't good, then you don't have a company. So when you learn these skills, it's super valuable. And awesome, awesome. So do you plan on staying in the Amazon industry specifically, like Amazon pay per click?
Other people that I've talked to, we're kind of a special instance where our agency deals solely with Amazon. Other people I know in the space, they'll do Amazon and Walmart and Target and Shopify and TikTok and Meta and whatever else the client wants. Sometimes, depending on the agency, they'll sign up, the brand will sign on, and they want you to handle kind of all of their marketing stuff. Whereas at my current company, we're dealing specifically with everything Amazon. So there's marketing agencies that just deal with marketing, but we're kind of like an agency that does marketing, but also we have a warehouse where you ship your inventory and we get it all ready for Amazon. And we have a
Hmm.
compliance team that makes sure, anytime a listing goes down for like you use the wrong language, they get on the phone with Amazon and duke it out or, that kind
Hmm.
of thing. Amazon, I will say, Amazon, as far as PPC goes, is probably the most like granular PPC there is. Like Walmart PPC, you can't even do negative matches,
Hmm.
but Amazon, you can adjust your bids like by the hour. So there's
Wow.
a lot. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to Amazon PPC. So if you learn Amazon PPC, then you'll have no problem doing all the other PPC platforms.
Interesting. Okay. That's good to know. Awesome. I'd like to ask a little bit more about the community, right? The community inside
Yeah,
of the course. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's something that a lot of people don't really realize how valuable it can be. So, yeah, if you talk about
extremely
that a little bit.
valuable.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I did the course. You watch the videos, you make your website, you do the PPC stuff, but there's also a whole section on your resume and there's interview prep. You can sign up with people who took the course, who work in the PPC, SEO, whatever industry, and you can interview with them and practice your interview skills. and they'll give you notes on like, hey, mention this, don't mention that, sit up a little straighter, just stuff you wouldn't really think about if you're just going into an interview cold without any practice. Like getting interview practice is so important to be comfortable and well spoken in an interview so that the company knows like if you don't have the language skills to communicate your actual like advertising skills, then what good are they, right?
Yeah.
So getting some practice interviewing and being able to articulate what you know and what you can do is super valuable. Um, Same goes for the resume. If you don't know how to build out a resume that adequately showcases your skills and talents and graphs your skills and talents to the skills and talents that your potential employer is looking for, then you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to make it past the AI checker. So
Hmm.
yeah, very, very, very useful in that regard. And then anytime you have a question about something, you're not super sure, you can hit up Seth. He's got people in the class that will answer questions. He's got a Facebook group that you can always ask questions to. They're also, there'll be people in that group say, hey, my agency is looking for a PPC person. If anyone's
Hmm.
interested, apply here, kind of thing. So you really get a lot out of it. You get out of it what you put into it, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, I've talked to Seth before because the course is like in the hundreds of dollars range at this point, I believe.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it
I think I
hasn't
paid
changed.
about eight.
Yeah, around $800. I believe that's what it is right now. And I've talked to Seth about it, and it's like we have a lot of friends who sell, like high ticket coaching programs. He's essentially selling a high ticket coaching program for like a course price, right? Because like high ticket coaching, a lot of the time that's like $5,000. It's like quite expensive. And he's giving that like that same amount of value for the price of a course. And the reason he does it is because I think partially because he really wants it to be accessible, right? He wants it to be accessible to
Yeah.
people. He wants everyone to be able to kind of like afford, like to be able to afford the course, right? Which I think is awesome. But he could probably make a lot more money if he was selling high ticket. We've actually talked about that before. But yeah, it's very, very affordable, very accessible. I mean, just kind of ridiculous value for the price, especially if you compare it to like a college degree, even like
Oh yeah.
certifications. There's like certifications out there that cost like $3,000, $5,000. There's boot camps out there that cost, 10, 20, $30,000. So, this level of value, especially at a pace that where you can just kind of do it yourself or do it whenever you have free time.
Super thankful to Seth and his course. Like he made it extremely accessible. He has a couple people working for him, like in the course as well, that are also extremely accessible. It's really just a fantastic product and changed my life for sure. Like I
That's
wouldn't
awesome.
wouldn't be here without it. So super grateful to him for that.
That's awesome. Yeah. So I guess my question is, if there's someone watching this who's kind of on the fence and they're kind of like, I don't know, should I do this? Should I not do this? What would you say to them?
I would say, even if it's not what you thought you would be doing with your life, it's something. It moves you in the right direction. It gets you out of, your service industry gig, or if you've kind of just been spinning the wheels and you don't really, the place you're at right now isn't really doing it for you and you want to get something more for yourself, it's going to require you to make a change. This is probably one of the most accessible courses you can take to actually get into a new career field, which from there you can parlay and change into something else. But it gets you out of kind of that service industry, or maybe you're cutting hair or working at an auto shop or whatever. It gets you out of there and into something else. So if you're on the
Hmm.
fence, if you're kind of fed up with where you're at, like it's going to require you to make a change. And this
Gotcha.
is a very accessible way to do that. Very supportive.
And by the way, guys, if you want to check out the course down in the description, the pinned comment below, check it out. There's also a webinar where he basically explains what digital marketing is, the different types of digital marketing, and how to get into it, and probably answers a lot of your questions in that webinar. So check that out. So do you think that getting your philosophy degree, do you think that helped you land your job, or do you think it like kind of didn't matter?
It might have, honestly, like a lot of employers, they want someone to do the job. They could care less what you studied in college. It's like, because by the time they're hiring someone, they needed someone yesterday for that gig. So they just want someone who can do the job. Yeah, people like to see college. Yeah, it shows you can like follow through and like do something or whatever. But like
Hmm.
also, if you've been to college, you've definitely met people in school. You're like, how are you even here? Like it's not like a guarantee that if you have a
Yeah.
degree, you are a smart, capable person.
Yeah.
And employers know that. They're looking for relevant skills with
Yeah.
experience in the industry that you're in.
So if you didn't have a degree, do you think you still would have been able to land a job?
Dude, yeah, if I had just taken this course out of high school and got immediately into PPC, I would be 5 years ahead of where I am now, probably making quite a bit more, double,
Yeah.
triple what I am now. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, like college was fun. It was a good experience. I'm happy that I got a degree and I'm thankful for the education I got, but I don't think it's totally necessary
Got
for
it.
sure. And the thing is just getting your first job, because once you get your first job, then the doors are wide open for you to get more, because then you have the experience, you have a resume, you can have a portfolio, you have all the stuff to back it up.
Got it. Got it. Okay, cool. And then I guess another question is like personality wise. I always like to ask this question. It's quite interesting. And a lot of people have different answers. So personality wise, is there are there any types of personalities that you think do better in pay-per-click? Like personality traits that you notice?
It's interesting because a lot of pay-per-click jobs are completely remote. So you could have really any personality and you just kind of be on calls with your manager once or twice a week and be like checking in or whatever.
Hmm.
Or if you're, in my case, we're in person. And I got to say, that's probably my favorite part of the job is just being around the coworkers with everybody. Like everyone where I work is super friendly. There's not one person there I wouldn't have over for dinner. You can find whatever you're looking for in this industry, right? So if you want to be like social, in person, talking, wheeling and dealing, like you can get an in-person gig. If you want to be a little more reclusive, a bit more independent, you can find a remote gig. And if you want to mix the two, you can go hybrid. So I don't think there's
Hmm.
really any like specific personality trait that makes you more predisposed for this kind of gig. I will say it is very data driven. So having an analytical mindset um, definitely helps, but I don't think it's an end all be all.
Got it. Yeah, that's kind of one thing is, so there's a two different career paths I promote often. Actually, I do three, but two of them like digital marketing and then also sales, specifically like tech sales. And
Hmm.
tech sales pays better like right off the bat, but digital marketing, I feel like when you send people to digital marketing, like you can find a job no matter what your personality is.
Hmm.
There's something in digital marketing that's going to resonate with your personality, whether it's SEO, pay per click, etc. Whereas tech sales, like there's some personalities that are just not going to work out in tech sales, right? It's just
There is a type.
right. There's a
I know a
type.
couple
There's a
people
type.
in tech sales, like there's definitely a type.
Yeah, yeah. It can be it's intense. It's very intense. You have to have good, people skills, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah,
Competitive too. Like
very,
having your livelihood ride on like the feelings and whims of another person, like didn't really sit well with me.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And for a lot of people feel that way. A lot of people feel that way. And so that's why like digital marketing, it's the one where I think it works for almost any personality type, whether you're artistic, analytical, or you're an introvert, an extrovert, or all the other things, right? Basically any personality type, you're going to find something within digital marketing that fits your skill set and your personality. Whereas like tech sales, I think it's great. It's amazing for the right type of person, but you do have to be that right type of person, right? So, yeah, yeah, cool. Any last tips for people that are maybe, trying to land a digital marketing job? What's your like best tip? You kind of gave it before with the portfolio and getting experience, but do you have anything other than that?
I guess kind of just a words of wisdom. If it was easy, everybody would do it, Like getting on this career path, changing career paths, putting yourself out there in interviews and stuff. It's challenging. And to get the experience necessary to get the role, you're gonna have to do some work to do it. And so just have a little bit of that gumption to get you over the hump, and you'll be greatly rewarded tenfold. So put in the work, you get out of it what you put into it. Takes effort to make a change and be willing to put in that effort.
Very philosophical. I like that. That's good advice. Yeah, very philosophical, but very practical as well. Yeah, it's like one thing I've kind of realized lately because even me like I got the YouTube channel and I've got the business and stuff, but I'm still progressing. I'm still trying to learn new skills like AI, for instance. Oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. And one thing I've learned recently is you can either pay with your time and effort, or you can pay with your money, right? So it's like, for instance, with AI skills, like I can either pay somebody who's really good at AI to teach me, or I can learn it myself, but then it's going to take me a lot of time and effort and energy, right? So yeah, it's kind of the same thing with digital marketing, which is why it makes so much sense to just pay to get inside of a community that has a bunch of successful digital marketers, has really good information, tells you exactly how to do it with no BS, no like, stuff where it's just going to send you down a path that's just going to waste your time. Just no BS, only the stuff that actually matters, and just save you a massive amount of time getting that first digital
Yeah.
marketing job, get your foot in the door, and then it's just up from there, basically. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in that course that you couldn't like learn on your own, but just having the structure and the community behind it does so much better for like just aligning you and getting you, keeping you focused, helping you out. It just, yeah, super valuable.
for sure. Awesome. Well, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, maybe we'll get you back on here in a year or two. See
Yeah, I'd
what
love
update you
to.
have. Awesome.
I would love to. All right, Shane, you take care.
Take care. Have a good one.